Hi and a very warm welcome to lesson 19, and in this week's lesson we're going to be learning our first solo from The Importance of Being Idle, which we've been covering over the last couple of weeks, and following on from the string bending lesson that we introduced last lesson. That's going to be a feature of this solo. I'm also going to show you the scale that this solo comes from. It uses the A minor pentatonic scale predominantly, but it also uses a little bit of the A minor natural in that same position. Now we covered both those scales in the open positions in the earlier parts of the course. So we've covered the A minor pentatonic because it's a nice easy scale. The natural minor is a little bit trickier, but it's an important scale because that's where the minor pentatonic comes from. It comes from that natural minor scale. So I'm going to be showing you that scale first of all, and that is where the beginning of the Importance of Being Idle solo comes from. So it's important to know the scale that it's created from. Okay, so first of all, then here we go with the A minor natural scale, and it's probably the trickiest scale that you'll have learned so far because it's got a slight little position change within it. So we've got to shift our finger positions slightly. I'll run through it first of all, and then I'll go through it as usual, note by note. Here we go. Okay, so as you probably noticed there, I had to shift my hand position across. So predominantly all the scales that we've done previously have all stuck within the 4 fret box shape. With this one, we have to sort of slightly move across into a different fret with our first finger. So it's a little bit tricky to navigate, is this one. So here we go. I'm going to break it down nice and slowly. First 2 strings follow the same pattern of notes. We go to the first, third and fourth fingers on the first 2 strings. Starting on the 5th fret, which is the A, which is why we're in the key of A minor, beginning on the A and ending on the A. Okay, here we go. First 2 strings. First, third and fourth on both those 2 strings. Finishing the first octave with your first and third. That's the first octave of the scale. That sequence of 8 notes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this is where we have the slight position change, moving across to the 4th fret with our first finger and playing the 1st, 2nd to 4th frets there. Moving back into the 5th fret, 1st, 2nd to 4th again, and then that's the top A, which is the 2nd octave. I'm going to extend it slightly. Another 2 frets to be 1st, 3rd and 4th there. And then back down we come. 4th, 3rd to 1st, 4th, 2nd to 1st this time. Now I've got to navigate that position change again on the 3rd string here. So I'm coming across with my 4th finger to my 2nd, to my 1st. Then I have to move back into that original position. So I'm coming back in with my 3rd, to my 1st, to my 4th, to my 3rd, to my 1st, and same on the last string, where we finished there, back on the A. Okay, so I'll run through it once more, nice and slowly. Again, stick to down picks when you're practicing this, nice and slowly. It is the trickiest scale of the ones we've learnt so far. So take it nice and slowly, but try and make sure you get that finger in exactly right and the note sequence exactly right, because it is easy to get it slightly mixed up. So here we go. There we go, that's the A minor natural scale. Okay, so as we work through the solo then, you'll be able to see where that scale fits or where should I say, where the solo fits over the scale patterns. Like I said many times before, all solos and riffs are created from scales. So I like to give you just a bit of a background as to where those solos are coming from. So without further ado, we'll begin the first half of the solo from The Importance of Being Idle. I'll play it first of all. And then that repeats again. Okay, so a couple of things to say. Remember, it is in swing time, and we're going to use alternate picking as well. Okay, so in the swing time concept, first quaver is always longer, second quaver is shorter, gives us that swing feel. So first of all, we're starting with the third finger on the 7th fret on the 3rd string. Okay, and then we're coming up onto the 2nd string, 5th fret, finishing the first phrase on the 7th fret on the 4th string. So it'll go like this. So if you notice, I'm starting on a down pick and then up picking onto the 2nd string. And keeping that picking alternate as I go through the phrase. So nice and slowly. Now we're jumping then right onto the top string. 8th fret. That's 8th to 7th to 5th. Down onto the 2nd string, 8th fret, and finishing on the 5th fret on the same string. So again, nice and slowly. Down picking again to start with, but alternate picking throughout. Now I'm changing slightly away from it's still in the minor pentatonic pattern, but we're just changing to, so that's the 10th fret there. I'm going from the 8th fret to the 10th fret, which is the same note. The 10th fret on the 2nd string is an A, just as it is on the 1st string, but it's just easy to play in that position. So I'm going to play. So I'm going to play 8th to the 10th, and back to the 8th again. Then I'm dropping onto the 3rd string, 8th fret, then to the 9th fret on the same string. So again, alternate picking on the 2nd string. But on the 3rd string, because those two notes are crotchet notes, I'm playing down, just down picks. Don't need to alternate pick on those, just down picks. Okay, so again, nice and slowly. And then the pattern completely repeats the same thing. Okay, and that's the first part of the solo. Now, another little technique you may have noticed when I was playing that solo, when I held a note on for a little bit of time, I can kind of give it a bit of a wobble, which the technical term for that is vibrato, and it's used all the time in guitar solos and melodies, and it just gives it a nice little extra bit of colour. If we just held the notes on flat, should we say, it would sound exactly like that, flat. So the little bit of a wobble in the note you hear there, or vibrato, just gives that little bit of vibrancy to the solo. And I'm going to show you just how to do that, and it might take you a few weeks or months to perfect it, but the earlier you start trying this technique, then the better your playing will become. And then once it's in there, as we said before, it's there for life. So I'm going to give you a little explanation as to how I'm doing that. And we can also use vibrato on string bending as well. So the first part of the first note that's held on is that last note of the first phrase. And basically what I'm doing is just giving the string a bit of a wobble. Now the action comes, it's very difficult to describe exactly what's happening, but the muscles in the back of my hand are creating my third finger to wobble there. Okay, and it does take quite a little bit of practice to get this accurately. So you might start off a bit slow, not getting any results at all, but it'll eventually, as you work those muscles in the back of your hand and on your wrist as well, because in the second phrase, on that second string note there with my first finger, and you can see there, I'm kind of wobbling my whole hand from the wrist. So it's a very kind of fluid sort of movement. There's no exact way to perfect it. You could even wobble the guitar as well. There's lots of ways of creating vibrato. It's all to do with the muscles in the back of your hand and the wrist. Give it a wobble. Okay, and it'll sound all the better. We can do that in string bending as well. I'll just quickly demonstrate. Again, it's kind of like a series of little mini bends that I'm doing, but not like, it's kind of, again, it's a little wobble, using my wrist and the muscles in the back of my hand to kind of wobble that note as it's in the bent position. Okay, so give it a go. Don't drive yourself mad. Just a little bit. Just try it little and often. It'll eventually come into your playing, and that's called vibrato. Okay, well that just about concludes lesson 19. Again, some nice new stuff to develop your playing further on. Your practice schedule for this week. Once again, like I keep saying, begin with your technical stuff, your new scale, along with your other scales. Just one thing to say about that A minor natural scale. It is the same, you probably figured out already, it is the same sequence of notes as the open position. Same sequence of notes, but we're starting it on the fifth fret and accompanying it with the minor pentatonic shape at that position, because we're building up to a lesson shortly where we're going to be putting these scales into action, shall we say, in terms of improvising. So if you play your A minor pentatonic, you'll notice that it sits right over the natural minor scale, because there are times when we need to use both those scales together in the same position. And indeed, the solo to the Importance of Being Idle does use a combination of both those scales, so it's a good example. So again, begin with your old scales, use the metronome where possible. The new scale, the major scale that we did last week, and this natural minor, keep nice and steady, nice and slow. Just keep to down picks, and I'll be introducing the alternate picking to those in the coming weeks as well. Your power chords, your songs that we've used with power chords in, keep going through all those, and then you've got the beginning solo, and you've got the beginning of the solo to the Importance of Being Idle, and practice that vibrato as well. It'll add an extra little bit of flavour to your playing as well. Okay, so that concludes lesson 19, and I look forward to seeing you next lesson.